All right, hello, this is James with Remote Concepts, and today we're going to talk Redcat. Redcat comp style crawlers, from the smallest, which I know this has a modified body on it, but we'll get into that, to the largest, and some of the mods I have on these, and a little bit of a driving review of both. So we'll get into it. All right, we're going to start here with my small Redcat of the two. This is the Redcat Apex18. I know this has a axial 4Runner body on it, but we won't get into that. Just a small little driving review on this thing. I really haven't had to do much to this at all. It's virtually stock other than the body mod. I did make a little mount for the back to mount the Velcro on the body. You can see here I haphazardly used the cowl off the stock body to mount the original mount, so it still kind of clips on like the originals. Other than that, this still has the stock wheels and tires, all the weights. I have added the links to this and a set of drive shafts from Redcat Racing. So these are the steel upgraded drive shafts. Now this is the one thing I would probably suggest to really upgrade on this truck is the drive shafts. And I'll flip it up again and see if you can see the mount made inside the body here. So there you go, just a little aluminum mount with some Velcro. But yeah, and this is an axial 24 5th gen 4Runner body on top of it. I just wanted something different. So this truck looks good. It's virtually stock. The brushless kit runs really well. Stock servo works really well. And that's about it for this little guy. It's a great little truck. For $249, it's hard to beat the performance of it. And should go out and grab one. All right, on to the meat and the potatoes. Well, you probably clicked onto this video, the new Redcat Vertex6. Still getting used to saying that. I don't have many Redcats. I have a Redcat CEO I use to tow around some of my pre-runner trucks. But when I saw this, I was like, you know what? We're going to give this a chance. It looks like it's really going to do well. I've been in the 6-scale world for quite some time. We can take a look at my other cars here. Hold on. So yeah, coming into the 6-scale realm, I do have a couple of SCX6s that are very modified. This is a 4-wheel steer buggy we're working on here. And then this is a SCX6 frame-based buggy build still. So, you know, coming from the 6-scale world, this is what we're used to running, fairly heavy. I know there's potential in these, in the size and what they can grab as far as line goes. But yeah. This is where it comes from. So we have a little bit of experience with this larger scale vehicle. But jumping back into this Redcat, so when I saw this on the market, I was like, this looks interesting. I'd seen something like this before, and this truck does seem to be based somewhat on a Yukang Chinese brand. I think they did a collaboration with Redcat and some of the design. But yeah, it's a different departure. This is about half the weight of a regular SCX6. And they came out with some nice features. A brushless kit that's a nice 2-in-1 system that's in this. And then the servo on here is a fairly decent servo for a factory servo. And nice shocks. But we'll get into some of the tuning and some of the mods that I've done to this truck so far. So first off, the one thing you see on this truck that I've modified thus far is the wheels and tires that are on it. The factory wheels and tires are great, especially for a Raider run. The factory beadlock wheel is not bad for being a 17 mil wheel, which is a little bit of a departure from what's been on the market so far. But I wanted to try something different and I definitely wanted to be able to run my aftermarket wheels on this. So we've made some modifications there, but we'll go over the wheel and tire that's on this. I have run a set of shift wheels on here. I did some testing with those and they work great, but currently I'm running a set of SSD wheels, and these are J Concepts Tusk 2.9 tires mounted up. And for foams, because this truck is much lighter than SCX6, this is probably the softest tire you can get for an SCX6 on the market right now in this current size. So I'm actually running a set of Proline stock foams that come in a set of Proline aftermarket tires. They're very, very soft out of the box, and that's what we're running in the front here. And then the rear, I'm running a set of SCX6 stock foams, which are pretty light in the rear. So a little bit stiffer foam in the rear than the front. And you can see how much form we're getting out of the tires here. Seems to be a pretty well rounded setup for what we got going here in the weight of the vehicle. The other thing I've added to this is 2 wraps of weight in the front wheels and no wraps in the front. So those are the glue-on double-side sticky style weights that you find for automotive use. I've wrapped the inner part of the wheel with those. And then to mount these, we'll go through the modifications I had to do to actually mount these to the vehicle. All right, so we got the wheel all unbolted off here, and I'll go through the mods it's taken to get this SCX wheel mounted on here. So here I have the factory hex adapter, 17 mil. So this is the outer 17 mil nut that goes on that, and this is where your pin goes through, and these are the threads that slide onto. So that is this piece here, and what we've done is taken the threads and cut those off. And I have seen guys use SCX6 wheel hex for this, but then you have to stack a whole bunch of shims behind here, and I just didn't like the idea of doing that. So this allows for all of the correct spacing on the bearing and everything, and the pin inserts correctly. So I've opted to cut the threads off, and that leaves the stub axle exposed here. And then we've taken, you can use a 16 to 18 millimeter 5 millimeter grub screw essentially, and that'll thread back into the stub axle and hold the pin like factory. And then you apply a 8 millimeter wheel nut, flange wheel nut to the outside, and that holds your wheel on. And then you can see here we've got more added weight with the Redcat weight hangers there. So that does mean on your wheels you will have to make some modifications, whether or not you're using a shift wheel with a hub, which is nice, so you can control the offset of the wheel, which I didn't feel we needed to. This truck was pretty wide with the body proportions and everything, but you still will need to drill out your wheel here to 8 millimeters, and that's the outer diameter of the stub shaft that's sticking out of the hub there. So what I've done is I took a 5/16 drill bit, and you'll drill that hole out, and that's gonna fit pretty tight still. So it just happens that I have a Harbor Freight, just a cheap little file wrap set here, and that just seems to be the perfect diameter. So you'll run this through until it fits really nice through that hole all the way around after you drill that with a 5/16 drill bit, and that will allow you to mount up your wheel from an SCX6 with minimal effort to a Vertex6. So I have heard rumor mill that they are planning to do a hex conversion for people that want to do this from Redcat, and we'll see what their kit looks like. It'll be really interesting if they do. Really means that they're listening to the customer base when they do things like that, and make a convenient kit to convert that to. One thing I would like to see from them And I've seen them before. It's a dual-sided grub screw. So if they did something with a 5 mil with a flange out to a 6 mil, and then be able to run a 6 millimeter inner diameter wheel nut, which would be a 10 mil bolt or a nut, it would give a little bit better purchase on the wheel inside of here. And I wouldn't mind seeing that, plus a little bit of strength there. So that's something that would be interesting to see from Redcat, if they do that with their kit or not. But that's the wheel mod that's on this, and I'll pop the body off of here, and I'll show you the next mod we got going with this. Alright, we got the body popped off this thing, and I'm not going to tear apart the transmission, but I will insert a picture. I've done my own kind of homebrewed dig unit for this, so that locks up the back wheels and allows you to mow the truck around. There are a couple of guys doing like billet pieces dig units for this for the aftermarket. Logan with West Desert Wheeler is one, and he's got an awesome billet piece that inserts in the transmission with no modification to it, just removing and adding a couple parts, and it's only $29. It's an awesome piece. Hit up Logan or West Desert Wheeler if you want one. But with that mod, I just wanted to experiment and try things, and tearing apart the transmission, I found this has a set of hardened steel gears, which is really nice to see all the way through. Really nice bearings, shafts, and shims. And I figured I'd try and make my own dig unit out of it. So I welded them together and drilled out the idle shaft side, and then reinstalled it. And I'll insert a picture of the welded unit, and then a little bit of it running. So that'll do your own homebrewed dig unit out of this. If you got a welder and a little bit of time, you drill out the one side, the one-to-one idle gear, and then the locking engagement side, you'll just reinstall. So I am running an aftermarket radio on this, but this mod would still work just fine with the factory radio. I just wanted to run it on my Spectrum kit. It is a little tough to get all the Spectrum radio gear in there. I'm running a 515 receiver, but it does fit. And that's the dig unit mod in this truck. So you can do this homebrew, but like I said, Logan at West Desert Wheeler has a great piece. It's like 29 bucks, nice billet piece. If you're not apt to just tearing this apart and welding it, it'd be a great way to go. The last other things we've done to this, we'll talk about a little bit of suspension tuning. After driving this car, it does drive very well out of the box. Very impressed with it. It does pull things you really have to have the ground to be able to utilize this vehicle. But the other thing I've done with the rear shocks is I've spaced them out just to give a little bit more stability. And we're gonna start working on shock tuning. The spring rates seem pretty good on this, but I am gonna probably bump up to a little bit heavier oil in the rear to try and slow it down. We do get a little bit of torque twist out of this in certain high grip situations. So that'll be the next tuning item we go through. And the other tuning item I'm thinking about looking at here is doing a set of internal half pull down springs. So I have noticed when you ramp up to a wall or something of that nature, especially in the overdrive situation, it should help pull out of there. But it seems as if this thing kind of half unloads. It'll like lift the front end and then come back down. So I want to try and combat some of that, and without sacrificing any of the travel that occurs in this car necessarily, in or articulation value that it has. So So I think I'm going to try and install a set of small internal springs underneath the shock body, the valve in the shock body, just to help keep this pulled down initially. And then if it is in an articulated situation, it'll be able to force against those. And I think I'm going to try a set of TRX4M springs internally to do that. And also running a little bit heavier oil so it's not as loose in the front end and it won't want to lift up. All right, well, there we go. There's a little review, and I'll insert some running video from the recent trail run we had, and a little bit of running of this guy. So, you know, here we're covering the new little Apex18 a little bit. Go out and get you one. This thing's fun. Like I said, I'm not normally a Redcat guy. I know people love them, and the brand does definitely have a tune and a beat to what's going on in the market, and they definitely try and cater that. I love all the lowriders they do. The COE is a great project. So from that standpoint, I love what Redcat's doing. As far as their rock crawlers go, in the past, they've offered some great value, but I tend to drive things pretty hard, and I wasn't overly impressed with the durability or some of the other things that were going on. But as of late, Redcat has really been starting to impress me. They're really listening and they're paying attention and putting forth a great product here. So, like I said, this has been my review of the Redcat Vertex6 and just a few of the mods and stuff that I've done to mine so far. And I think this truck is definitely going to be one in the stable. And the little Redcat Apex18, I think, is great value for money for the performance. And there's so much stuff out there for the small 18 to 24 scale to really make it your own, kind of like I did with this one. I'm a Toyota guy and wanted to put something different on there and make it my own. And same thing with the Vertex 6 here. We're still through the tuning process, but I'm very impressed with this rig, and I like the mods that I've been able to do to it so far and the performance level. So thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later.
TLB.